Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to our online Sunday evening program. I also welcome His Grace Ananda Gauranga Prabhu, our guest speaker for this evening. I will tell a little bit about Prabhuji. Prabhu is living in Toronto area. He's working as a manager in a multinational company. He and his wife, Sushila Ratan Mataji, both are initiated by His Holiness Ramadas Maharaj. His son is about to join the university now. Prabhuji has served as a temple president in ISKCON Scarborough. You may perhaps know that apart from the main temple on Avenue Road, there are 3 more locations in the Greater Toronto area. This Scarborough is located on the eastern side of Toronto, metropolitan Toronto. So, Prabhuji also hosts a weekly live radio program at the Gita Vani radio station for the past 40 years. Prabhuji gives different classes and seminars in various different ISKCON centers in Canada as well as in Mexico. Prabhuji is also trained to perform yajnas and has performed over 100 yajnas, marriages, kumsavana, upanayana, etc. In India, in Mexico, as well as in various parts of Canada. So we are very happy to have Anand Prabhu with us this evening. So normally the presentation goes for about an hour, and there is opportunity for interaction according to Prabhu's choice. You may stop in between and ask for some input or feedback. Definitely at the end of this presentation there will be also opportunity for devotees to give their reflections or ask them basic questions and add something according to what they want to say. So, I'm going to hand it over to His Grace Ananda Gauranga Prabhu. Prabhu, please take over. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So if I can, I can share my screen. So if you can see that, please let me know. Is everybody able to see my screen?
Yes, Prabhu, we can see your screen.
Okay. So you can double click the screen to make it bigger because the focus is going to be on the material on the screen. Is that okay? We can get started. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna to all the devotees. It's an honor and privilege to be with all the wonderful devotees of ISKCON Ottawa. And my special thanks to His Grace Guru Prasad Das, who's given me this opportunity to be with all of you today. And as we know, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj left the material world yesterday, which was 4th of July, on the day of Guru Purnima, as well as on the disappearance day of Sri Sanatan Goswami, and he attained the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, and that's the best place to be because Srila Prabhupada is always with Lord Krishna. So before we get started, we will chant one Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I've met a few of the devotees a couple of years as well when I was there for the Vaishnava Sangha in 2018 as well. So I'm glad to be with you through this Zoom call today. So today we have chosen a topic of transforming the mundane to the divine. That means transforming ordinary into extraordinary, or how to transfer or transform the secular to spiritual. Secular means it's got no religious or spiritual connotation or basis. So how can we transform that? So that's the topic for today, and we can get going. So hopefully all of you can hear me nice and clear, and you're able to also see the screen as well. So before we get started, we will chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 3 times. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is Dwadashakshara mantra. It is composed of 12 syllables, as we know. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with this Dwadashakshara mantra, and it's also the invocation mantra in the 2nd canto. And this is the mantra that we use when we are worshipping, we chant this mantra when we are worshipping the Shaligram Shila, and that we know of is the first time that was given by Narada Muni to Dhruva Maharaj almost 2 billion years ago. And also it is part of Narayana Kavacha. And Srila Prabhupada, this confounder Acharya, he teaches us in the 4th canto that just by this mantra we can go to Vishnu Loka. So this is one of the slides that we use for our monthly Srimad Bhagavatam class as well. A couple of slides I will put that in the very beginning, because if you're wondering why would we need a multimedia presentation, so that's coming up in the next slide. But for us to retain anything that we learn, either we learn or we hear, 5 R's are very important. One is it has to be relevant to all of us. So, quite a few devotees are there. I can see in the Zoom participants. So you are here because you feel that the information is relevant. So that's perfect. That's the first R. The second way to remember what we learn is recall code. So we use some acronyms, or we use the summary in the very end so that it reiterates. Repetition causes retention. That's the third point. So we'll repeat the key information, and we will also review the contents in different ways and different angles so that we are able to retain what we learn. And then we'll also reflect, we'll introspect, and we'll internalize what we hear and what we learn. And also based on your comments from the class, in the end, we will be able to reflect on what we learned as well. So usually the class is, a speaker speaks and all of us listen, but once in a while we'd like to have this multi-sensory class or multimedia class, because we can use multiple senses. So we can use our eyes as we do. We use our speech because you can read what is there on the screen. We can use our ears like we usually do when we are hearing a class, when we're listening to a class. We'll use our hands. If you're using the computer, you'll need that, and legs as well, for you to come to this room where you're going to hear about Lord Krishna. And we'll use our mind and intelligence as well, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur has taught us that even if one of our 5 senses are not involved in Krishna consciousness, then they become our enemy. So as much as possible, let's try to engage our senses today. For the next 1 hour, let's focus our attention on the contents of what we are going to review today. And this is one of the significant verses that most of you know by heart. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatpena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. So I've underlined the key words here, the last 2 lines. One is freed from all material designations, and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. So I'm connecting this verse with what we are doing today, which is a multimedia presentation where we are going to engage many of our senses. Why? Because we want all those senses that we are engaging today in Lord's service will be purified. So to start off with, scriptures teach us that, this we have heard again and again: always remember Lord Krishna and never forget Lord Krishna. This verse is originally from Padma Puran, which is also quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Smartaiva satatam Vishnur vismartavya na jatushit. So in this particular verse, it is said that Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should always be remembered and never be forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras should be the servants of these 2 principles. So this is there, that we need to remember Lord Krishna and never forget Lord Krishna, because it is for our benefit and for us to be successful in life. So it's very important. Why do we have to remember Lord Krishna? Why should we not forget Lord Krishna? Even though it looks like it's the same, always remember and never forget, but it's like do's and don'ts. The doctor says, right, don't do this. If you have diabetics, don't eat sweets, but have this, don't do this, but do this. That's similar to that. Never forget Krishna and remember Krishna. Never forget means if you're engaged in many negative activities, we are totally forgetting. But if you're neutral as well, which is not good enough, we want to remember Lord Krishna. So it is for our benefit. So a couple of verses I've put in here, which is very important. So for those of you who are in this call, please feel free to take a photograph of picture with your cell phone, any of the verses that you think is useful, rather than you searching for it later on. These are very significant verses. So scriptures teach us always remember Lord Krishna and never forget Lord Krishna, and that's for our benefit and for us to be successful in life. And these 2 significant verses are there, which tells us what happens when we remember Lord Krishna and not forgetting Lord Krishna. Or in the contrary, what happens when we forget Lord Krishna, or if we don't remember Lord Krishna. So this is a famous verse, Katanchana Smriteshmin, Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavat Vishmrite Vipritam Syat Sri Chaitanyam Namamitam. So here it is said, this is a takeaway for all of us. things that are very difficult to do become easy to execute if one somehow or other simply remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just by remembering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even the most difficult things in our material life becomes very, very easy to execute. And you see there, it says if one somehow, so there's no prerequisite, there is no qualification. So anybody who's got a difficult task, if you remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he will be able to complete that task very easily. But what I've not underlined in the same verse is that, but if one does not remember him, because it says never forget Krishna, or in the sense Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it says if one does not remember him, even easy things become very difficult. So it's very important that, for our own benefit, for us to be successful, we have to remember Lord Krishna or Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or any of the incarnations of Lord Krishna, so that we can be successful in this material life, because it's for our benefit to remember Lord Krishna. The other verse from Bhagavad-Gita, which is on the right side of the screen, is Machitta Sarva Durgani Mat Prasada Tarishasi. In this verse, it is again saying, it reverberates sort of what is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 14.1, which you see there, is that if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. Again, if you become conscious of me, so if you remember Lord Krishna, if you think of Lord Krishna, then we will be able to pass over. So it's very important that we'll be able to pass over. Krishna doesn't say you will not have any problems in your life, but he says you'll be able to pass over. Just like there are sharks and piranhas in the ocean or a river, but if you go on a nice beautiful ship, you're able to go over that without any problem. There could be a mountain full of wild animals and snakes, but if you're traveling in an helicopter or an airplane, you're passing over it, so you don't have, you're not impacted by that. So you're passing over all the obstacles. It's not that there will be no obstacles, but the obstacles will be insignificant, or it'll be easily surmountable. So the message here is that when iron is in contact with fire, it acquires the characteristics of fire. So somehow, if we are able to connect to Krishna by thinking of Lord Krishna, success is guaranteed somehow or the other for all of us. As you can see, there is this iron rod, but when it is put into the fire, Srila Prabhupada has given this analogy many times. So this iron rod acquires the characteristics of fire, and you can burn something with this iron rod as well. Okay, so I just wanted to stop here for a second. Are you able to still see the screen and able to hear?
Yes, Prabhu. Everything is good. Audio
Okay.
and video, both are good.
Okay, good. So we'll continue. Please stop me if you have any questions, even in the middle if you feel like, or we can hold the questions and comments to the end. But it's just that, yeah, we have to remember Lord Krishna. So we know when we go to the temple, yeah, we'll remember Lord Krishna, we'll think of Lord Krishna when we're chanting. Yeah, most of the times we'll be able to remember Lord Krishna, but also our mind drifts away. We know that, we try to bring it back. But we seem to live two different lives. One is spiritual, and the other one is, we can say, non-spiritual. What we mean by non-spiritual is, it could be a neutral life, or it can be material. Material can be either positive or negative as well. But definitely we live in two different islands. So one is spiritual and one is non-spiritual. So spiritual could be Sundays. Every Sunday we go to temple, ISKCON Ottawa or Scarborough or Toronto, one of the temples, and we spend some time at home in our home altar when we are chanting or when we are doing Abhishek, etc. But other than that, we seem to live in a non-spiritual world for the remaining 6 days of the week, or the remaining time that we are not chanting or in our altar. We seem to we're wearing two different hats. So secular or mundane versus spiritual or divine. Secular means, as we heard, it does not have any spiritual basis. Similarly, mundane means it's non-spiritual. But what we want to be, or where we are on Sundays and when we're chanting, is in the spiritual atmosphere, in the divine atmosphere. So how do we sort of merge these two together? Is there a way to turn everything that we do into spiritual or divine, and hence remember Lord all the time? The possibility is that still we may not be able to do it all the time, but there is a simple possibility that is given in Bhagavad-Gita. The answer is yes. So we'll see how it is. So Lord Krishna is giving us an easy process in Bhagavad-Gita to make everything spiritual without making any major change to what we are currently doing. So which is significant, right? Because you say, okay, if you have to go to, no problem, you can think of me all the time, and you go to Himalaya, stand in neck deep ice cold water for the whole year. Yeah, you can think of me. No, it's very simple. We don't need to transform. It's not a paradigm shift in what we are doing now to be there in that atmosphere of thinking about Lord Krishna all the time. And there's one critical verse where in Bhagavad-Gita where Krishna is saying that there is no dualism between spiritual and non-spiritual, or even non-spiritual activities can be made into spiritual. So this is a verse that we all know very well, but I'm just building it up to that particular verse, and we'll see some practical examples of how we can transform the mundane to the divine. So this is a verse from the 9th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, 9.27. So at this moment, I don't know if anybody will be able to read this verse. I see Mother Lakshmi. Just read the name. I don't know whether it's a Prabhu or Mother in that home. Is it possible, Prabhu or Mother, can you read the verse?
Yes, yat karosi, yat ashnasi, yat jihosi, dadasya, yat pasyasi konteya, tat kurushva mararpanam.
Wonderful. So if you can also read the translation of that.
If you give it to me, I'll read it.
Yeah, so.
Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give away, and whatever austerities you perform, that, O son of Kunti, or it should be do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm just going to read it's a fascinating purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So maybe Amal Prabhu, are you there, or anyone else? Can just read what? Yes, Prabhu, go ahead. Just what is underlined is good enough.
Okay, Prabhu. So, he will not forget Krishna in any circumstances. Work for him, accept the remnants of foodstuff offered to Krishna, do it for him, and this is called Archana. All surplus money accumulated should be utilized in furthering the Krishna consciousness movement.
Wonderful. So basically, Srila Prabhupada is teaching us what we are doing something, so do it for Lord Krishna. And whatever we are eating, we have to eat to survive. So we eat the remnants of foodstuff that is offered to Krishna. We are all working, so we work for Lord Krishna. And the money that we make when we are when we work, all the surplus money accumulated should be utilized in furthering the Krishna consciousness movement. So Bhagavad-Gita has got 18 chapters, 700 verses, as we know. And this verse is from the 9th chapter. There are 34 verses in this 9th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita. And as you can see, the 18th chapter is the biggest chapter, containing 78 verses. The second biggest chapter is the second chapter, which has 72 verses. But we are in the middle of Bhagavad-Gita, 9th chapter, 34 verses. So just the different voices of Bhagavad-Gita, all of you know, but just to reiterate that. So this verse that we just, Mother read wonderfully well, is one of the 82% of the verses that were spoken by Lord Krishna. He spoke 575 verses out of the 700 verses, and this verse is one of the verses that Lord Krishna spoke. And if you break this 9th chapter down, this is a very easy way. So, we always do this in Scarborough and other centers. Whenever we are reading a particular verse from a particular chapter, it's always good not to go to the tree in the forest, but also look at the forest first and then go into the tree. So we get an aerial view of Bhagavad Gita's 9th chapter, and we are able to break it down nicely so that we are able to see the interconnectedness between the groups of verses that are here. So what I've highlighted is the green group, which is the section 5, the last 8 verses, because we are reading from 9.27 today, and 9.27 up to 9.34, Manmanabha Madbhakta, the last verse of this 9th chapter, deals with the glories of directly worshipping Lord Krishna. So it is also good. We talked about the forest now in the previous slide. Now we are looking at the tree, but it's always good to connect the tree before and after. Look at the trees on either side. So 9.26 is the most famous verse in Bhagavad-Gita that we know of. Patram pushpam palam toyam. So Lord Krishna says, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. He's not saying I may accept it. He's saying I will. It's a categorical yes. So here, when we analyze it, the devotion comes before the offering, which means remember God and then perform your activity. Okay. So here this is a rare picture of Srila Prabhupada cooking for the deities. As you can see, it's an eggplant that is frying there. And 9.27 is the verse that we are reading today. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yat juhoshi dadati. Here Krishna says, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So here, devotion comes after offering, which means perform the activity and then remember God. So it's almost like an afterthought. But this is what Krishna is giving us. He's giving all the easy ways for us to remember him. Somehow or the other, remember Lord Krishna. So have the devotion and then do the offering, or you forget to have the devotion, you perform the act and then offer it to me. That's what 9.27 is. So either way, what happens? 9.28. These three verses are nicely connected together. So if you offer with me love and devotion, leaf, flower, fruit, etc., or whatever you do that as an offering to me. As an afterthought or devotion comes after offering, the net result is the same. In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. So just to summarize, Lord Krishna is saying, with love and devotion, if you offer leaf, flower, fruit, or water, or anything that we do that we are able to offer it to Lord Krishna, we will go back home, back to Godhead, no more birth, death, old age, and disease. So that's the sum and substance of these three verses which come in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita. So when we lie down in the bed and pull the blanket over us, or we pull the blanket over us and then lie down in the bed, the result is the same. So that's the difference between 9.26 and 9.27. Have devotion and then do the offering, or offer and then have the devotion. So when we wear the eyeglasses after opening a book, or open a book and then wear the eyeglasses, the result is the same. You'll be able to see it very clearly. So this is the 364th verse. If you're looking for some details here, we can say approximately it was spoken 25th minute, you can say, because according to our acharyas, it is said that the Bhagavad-Gita was spoken in 48 minutes, but there is also another school of thought which says it was spoken in about 1.5 hours. But our acharyas explained that it was spoken in about 48 minutes. So when you look at the 364th verse, you can say, yeah, around about just after halfway mark, this verse was spoken. So whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away. So similar instructions are there in other scriptures as well. So this is fascinating because in Bible, there are 3 verses. So 1 Corinthians 10:31, here it says, so whatever you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. So similarity in the verse that we read in Bhagavad Gita and that of Bible. Obviously, Bhagavad Gita was penned down, many millions of years ago. So we know it was last spoken about 5,000 years ago. But we also know from fourth chapter, first verse, that it was spoken to Vivaswan, the sun god, as well. So technically, Bhagavad Gita is spoken twice in the day of Lord Brahma. And when you look in that way, Brahma is 51 years old, Lord Brahma. He lives 100 years, which equates to 311 trillion and 40 billion years. So 100 years. So he's 51 years now. And 51 multiplied, he also has 365 days. So 365 multiplied by 51 comes to about 18,000. So multiplied by 2, because he spoke Bhagavad Gita, or he speaks Bhagavad Gita once to Vivaswan and once to Arjuna. So more than 36,000 times the Bhagavad Gita, the subject of Bhagavad Gita, has been spoken. So it's not that Quran or Bible, the contents of Bhagavad-Gita is not from these scriptures, but whereas the other way is possible because Bhagavad-Gita was spoken, first. So 1 Corinthians 10:31, we saw it's similar to Bhagavad-Gita 9.27. Similarly, Colossians 3:17, whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. So to Lord, it says. Colossians 3:23, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters. So this is very important because we are not working for our manager or for the vice president of the company. We are working for the Supreme Lord. When we have that mentality, then everything will be done perfectly. So this again reverberates with what is there in Bhagavad Gita 9.27. So I found this verse from Quran as well. So it says, so eat of the sustenance which Allah has provided for you, lawful and good, and be grateful for the favors of Allah, if it is he whom he serves. So again, the message is similar in the scriptures. So whatever you do, do it for the Lord. And this is another verse that is got a similar meaning, that of 9.27. This is the Nine Yogendras informing or having this conversation with Maharaj Nimi in the 11th canto we read. And by the way, anybody remembers who are the Nine Yogendras? I know most of you are on mute, sorry. So Nine Yogendras are 9 sons of Lord Rishabdev. We read from the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bharat Maharaj, who became a deer, and then Jada Bharat is the eldest of the 100 sons of Rishabdev, and 9 Yogendras are one of the 9 brothers of King Bharat, or the sons of Lord Rishabdev. So here there are 2 versions. One in Sri Sampradaya, it's got a similarity in the verse, but last line is slightly different. But here, Kayena Vacha Manasendreva, here it is said, what in accordance with the particular nature one has acquired in conditional life, whatever one does with body, words, mind, senses, intelligence, or purified consciousness, one should offer to the supreme, thinking, this is for the pleasure of Lord Narayana. So whatever we do, we win something, we achieve something, we offer it to the Lord. This is possible because of you. So nothing belongs to me. I didn't have everything. You're giving me the ability, the strength, the intelligence, the resources to succeed. And whatever I did is because of you, my Lord. I'm offering it back to you. So whatever we do is not ours. So we dedicate everything to God. So some examples to remember this point. So B2 Spirit Stealth Bomber. So this is the most expensive airplane to be built, right? So it's $2.1 billion, one airplane. And this one airplane, so pilots fly different airplanes. This is the stealth bomber. So pilots fly different airplanes, but the airplane is not theirs, right? He can't think that this 2.1 billion, is owned by this person. He knows he's just using it. It's been given to him for a short period of time. It's not his airplane. Similarly, jewelry shop owners handle thousands of dollars worth of jewelry, especially when you go to Dubai, you'll see that. And it's not theirs. They're just employees that they handle it, but they know nothing belongs to them. It is someone else, but definitely nothing belongs to them. Similarly, the bank tellers handle thousands of dollars every day, right? But nothing is theirs. So that's the mentality that our acharyas explained, that whatever we are doing, we offer it to the Lord because nothing belongs to us. So everything belongs to the Lord. So we show our gratitude to the Lord for what He's given to us. So it validates the compassionate nature of the Lord, right? Because He is always ready to help us in all circumstances. So whatever we do, He says. And this is only to ensure that we don't carry our material luggage in the onward spiritual journey, so that we can reach our destiny very soon at the earliest when we offer everything to Him. So there is no sins or negativity involved in that when we are offering it to Him. So again, he's helping us so that we don't carry this huge luggage in our journey, because it pulls us back and we may not be able to go back home, back to Godhead with a lot of luggage. So let's feel free without much of the baggage that we are generally. So here he's saying, Lord Krishna is saying, all be given to me. Okay, so you don't have to have any responsibility on your part. So I shall take the burden on my head. That's what Lord Krishna says. So now, for those of you who have read about Lord Dattatreya, right? He's the sixth incarnation of Lord Krishna. We read from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he's got two brothers. One is Soma, the moon god, and another one is Durvasa Muni. So many of us remember Durvasa Muni, especially from the ninth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Ambarish Maharaj pastime. So there is brothers. All three of them are sons of Atri Muni and Anusuya, right? So here Dattatreya is saying, who's Lord Krishna himself, because he's the sixth incarnation. So it is said that he goes begging for alms and he's saying, please give me your sins. How many sins have you committed? Please give it to me in the bag. I'll take it. He will digest the whole thing. So God will absorb all our errors, mistakes, misconceptions, and even sins. So that's the intent of this verse. When you offer it to Lord Krishna, same thing what we do is food also, right? Like when we are Krishnatarians, right? So we are not just vegetarian, we are beyond that. We offer it to Lord Krishna, because even the vegetarian food, there is life in the plants, but when we offer it to Lord Krishna, he takes everything, anything that is sinful there, because it's offered to him. So when we offer whatever we are doing, so we are not indulging in the sinful activity as part of that. And that's Dattatreya there. And just for our remembrance, there is this fascinating Narayana Kavacha in the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and there is a verse, part of the verse, that is dedicated to Dattatreya. Dattasta yoga, Datta yoga nata. So the master of all mystic power, protect me from falling while performing bhakti yoga. So again, coming back to this verse, even neutral mundane activity is transformed into spiritual. So we're getting into the nuts and bolts of this verse, right? So we're going to go into the practical aspects, what our acharyas teach us, and how we can imbibe this consciousness and make use of this wonderful verse that is given to us by Lord Krishna through Arjuna. So even neutral mundane activity is transformed into spiritual, and so that he's giving us an opportunity so that we can go back home, back to Godhead very easily. He's making it so simple. Everyone has to do something, right? All of us have to do something or the other every day. Even if you're unemployed, we have to do something. So whatever we are doing, whenever we are doing, so offer it for Krishna. Do it for Lord Krishna. So the most important part of what we want to stress today is devotion need not be restricted to the four walls of the temple, to the periphery of the temple room in Ottawa or Scarborough or Toronto, or to the deity room in our house, right? So it is to be engaged at every moment of our life. And Krishna saying,
I want to be like that forever.
Hare Krishna. So we dovetail everything to Lord Krishna. So this is a beautiful verse in English. So again, if anybody is unmuted, if you can read this, that will be great. So I just want some engagement from some devotees as well from Ottawa. If you can read this Saint Kabir, if you can read that, anybody can unmute yourself.
What are we reading?
The last point here, Saint Kabir, if you can read that.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Wherever I walk, I feel I am circumambulating the Lord's temple. When I go to sleep, I meditate on the sentiment that I am offering obeisance to God. In this way, I remain ever united with him.
Thank you, Mother. So here, it's nothing spiritual when somebody is walking. So Saint Kabir is saying, so for those of you who know, who have heard about Saint Kabir, right? He's a 15th century mystic and a poet. He was born in a Muslim family, and then he wrote so many books on Vaishnavism. And when he left his body, there was this big sort of, I won't say fight, but there was a lot of, Muslims came as well as Hindus came, and they said, no, we need to take him. Hindus said, we need to take him and burn his body. Muslims said, no, we need to take him and bury his body. That's what we do. So at that point in time, even though Saint Kabir left his body, he appeared in front of them and he said, open that cloth and see. So his body was supposed to be underneath that cloth that was covered. So he told them, open that, check what is there in my body. So when they opened that blanket, they saw nothing but flowers there. So his whole body was replaced with flowers. So there was no problem. The Muslims took half the flowers and then they buried it. And, and the Hindus took the remaining half of that, and they took it to Varanasi and they burnt it as well. So he's a fascinating, mystic and poet. And he's saying, whenever I walk, I feel that I'm circumambulating Lord's temple. See, it's a beautiful one. Even if you go to a walk, if you meditate that we are going around Radha Damodar Mandir temple in Vrindavan, or going around Govardhan Parikrama or Vrindavan Parikrama. And then when he goes to sleep, even though he thinks that he's offering obeisances. Yes, so when we sleep, usually our head is up. Obeisances is when the head is down, right? When our stomach and head is down. But nothing stops us from meditating that we are offering obeisances to the Lord. So even the mundane activity that we do, like walking and then sleeping, can be dovetailed into Lord's activity, and that can be made into spiritual activity. So it is for our benefit and not for God's benefit, Krishna's benefit, that he's saying this. And this instruction is for everybody, for devotees in Ottawa, in Toronto, in India, everywhere, right? And whether we are inside or outside, that is at home, in temple, in our mind, whatever we do in our mind, also we can offer it to the Lord, whether it's in public or private. There is no prerequisite or qualification for doing this. And he's making it so simple, right? So just do it for me. And one thing we have to remember, whatever we are offering, Krishna says, whatever you do, whatever you eat, give away, charity, offering, austerity, etc. We have to remember, nothing belongs to us. Everything belongs to Lord Krishna. In a way, we are taking what belongs to Lord Krishna and giving it back to him. Just imagine Tulasi. Can we manufacture Tulasi? Did we manufacture Tulasi? Tulasi grows. Yeah, we may be instrument in making the Tulasi. We take care of Tulasi, but everything belongs to Lord Krishna. Water, can we manufacture water? It comes from rain or river, glacier melts, etc. So we are offering what belongs to Lord Krishna back to Lord Krishna. So, so like a baby taking a chocolate from his dad's hand and putting it into the mouth of the father. It belongs to the father, but the father feels so good when the child is giving the chocolate to the father. How do we worship Ganga? So we take the water from Ganges and offer it back to Ganges, Ganga. So that's how we worship. So similarly, whatever we are doing, we offer it to Lord Krishna, and Krishna is so merciful that he's given us everything for us to offer it back to him, because he does not need anything from us, because he's Atmaram. That means he's self-satisfied. And even if we offer something to him, he's looking for the love, devotion, and the mood, because he's Bhavagrahi Janardhan. He's not looking at the actual ingredient that is being offered, but he's looking at the love and devotion. We know the story from the 80th and 81st chapter of the 10th canto, when Sudama Vipra, when his friend goes to Dwarka, he takes this broken pieces of rice in the bag, but Krishna knew there was so much of love and affection, and he took it. So he's not looking for the actual. We read about Shuklambar Brahmachari in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat, how he was so poor. Kulavecha Sridhar was so poor, but he's just looking for love and devotion. So he's Bhavagrahi Janardana. So some examples here. Lord Krishna does not need anything from us, because we read from 5.29, the famous verse. Anybody remembers? Bhoktaram ekatapasam sarvalokamayeshon. So in this verse it says, Lord Krishna is the supreme Lord of all the planets and demigods. So he's got everything, okay? He does not need anything from us. We just heard that he's Atmaram, right? So he's the Lord of all the planets and all the demigods. Kuvera, is the treasurer of the devatas. He's got unlimited wealth. So Krishna does not need, but when we give anything, he's looking for mood, love, and devotion. Krishna does not need anything from us because he's the source of all the spiritual and material worlds. The Chatur Sloki from Bhagavad-Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabho Matta Sarvam Pravartite. That's the verse here. So everything emanates from Lord Krishna. So he does not need anything from us, the $5 that we put in the donation box or anything, but it is for our benefit, for our purification, for us to go back home, back to God. And one more slide I have. Lord Krishna does not need anything because Lakshmi Devis in plural are always serving him. In this picture, there's one Lakshmi Devi, but from Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that there are millions of Lakshmi Devis serving. We are all working so that we can get some money. Just imagine the source of all the wealth and satisfaction is Lakshmi. And we know the pastime from the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, how Lakshmi Devi appeared during the churning of the ocean of milk. And there she's marrying Mukunda right away. So let's break this down. So I'm going to summarize this, with the 5 segments of this verse. Lord Krishna says, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So we'll take the first part of it. Whatever you do. So now here it's important that we have to understand it has to be either neutral or following the injunction. Okay, so it's not like, yeah, I'm doing something illegal, illicit, and then I offer it to Lord Krishna. No. So our scriptures teach us clearly, and our acharyas teach us that we cannot interpret the scriptures the way that we want, which is conducive to us. Whatever you do, it has to be either neutral or following the injunction. Okay, so that's the foundational part of this verse. So examples are whatever we do for ourselves, whatever we do for temples, for our employer, for our family or friends, we give a class, we give guidance, we help the neighbor move, we cook at home or in the temple, we take on responsibilities in Ottawa temple or at work, we drive people or we drive ourselves, bathing, sleeping, neutral activities. So all these are, many of them are neutral activities, right? Raising a family, raising our child, we offer it to Lord Krishna. Because just imagine when we are driving also, my dear Lord Krishna, you have given me this wonderful opportunity. I'm able to see. Many people cannot drive because they cannot see. Many people have got no legs. They cannot drive. One hand or two hands, both the hands are missing. So you've given me this facility. People cannot afford to have a car. You've given me this wonderful facility, Lord Krishna. I'm able to have insurance. I'm able to have gas. All these are points that we can be grateful for. So when we are showing our gratitude to Lord Krishna, even in these neutral activities, which sounds like mundane, and that's the topic for today, transforming the mundane to the divine, based on Lord Krishna's instructions in 9.27, whatever we do, which are either neutral or following the injunction, we offer it to Lord Krishna. So he's given us time, he's given us intelligence, right? He's given us opportunity. Just imagine, he could have deprived us of the opportunity to have a car, or even to bathe, or even to help others, right? So he's given us this intelligence and the opportunity. Just imagine, we may not have had it, it could have been deprived, and also somebody may have done it much better. Just imagine all the opportunity that Lord Krishna gave us. If he had given it to someone else, they may have done way much better job than what we may have done. So let's be grateful to Lord Krishna and transform this mundane to being divine. So it's an opportunity for us to show our gratitude. When we are driving, when we are sleeping, many people, when we wake up, we have to be grateful to Lord Krishna. Millions of people don't wake up. When they go to bed in the night, next day morning, they don't wake up. They're already dead. And we know during this COVID-19 times, many people die. So we are fortunate that we are alive. So that's a good enough reason for us to be grateful. When we are able to cook, so we have to be grateful. The second component is whatever we eat. So we already heard that we are Krishnatarians, not just vegetarian, because we not only eat vegetarian, but we eat only what is offered to Lord Krishna. So we should be grateful to Lord Krishna before we eat. Thank you, Lord Krishna, for giving us your remnants. Many people in the world are starving. Like here I am fortunate enough to get something to eat. And during, during thank you, God. The taste is so good because you had eaten that. And after eating, because now I have the energy to do other activities, right? Krishna says, Yajnashista Sinasanto 3.13. Krishna says, if you offer it to me and then eat, all your sins are gone. But if you don't offer it to me, but if you eat, you cook for yourself and eat, you're verily eating sin. So when we are eating, whatever we eat, we have this, onus on us to be grateful to Lord Krishna, because many people don't have this opportunity. Here we are, not only to eat anything, but to eat the best of all food, which is Krishnatarian food. We are vegetarian. Above that is Krishnatarian. So, and what do we eat? So again, let's not just think in terms of 9.26 Bhagavad-Gita. As we know, Bhagavad-Gita was spoken in about 48 minutes. So it's almost like headlines. So we have to go to, so this is more theoretical. Bhagavad-Gita, we have all the theory, but the practical application of the theory, we need to go to Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. So how do we surrender? You go to Srimad Bhagavatam, how Draupadi surrendered, how King Indradumna in the form of Gajendra, the elephant, how he surrendered. So theory and practical, right? So here in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, if with love and devotion you give me leaf, flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. But we can't say, oh, Krishna says only give leaf, flower, fruit, or water. So why should I give rice? Why should I give sabji? No. So that's when we go to Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. I put a couple of references here. Govardhan Leela pastime is there in the 10th canto, 24 and 25th chapter. There Lord Krishna says, offer this, offer that to Govardhan. And then he said Aniyor, Aniyor, because he took the form of Govardhan hill. And similarly, you go to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's pastime where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate in his house, and amazing foodstuff was prepared for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was offered to Krishna, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's Lord Krishna himself, ate that. And similarly, also in Antya Leela, there is a 10th chapter. All the devotees, they're going from, you can say from Mayapur area, they're going to Jagannath Puri, and they take so many things, like Raghavendra Pandit and his sister, Damayanti. They take so much of wonderful ingredients. So we read all that. So we cook all that because we know Lord likes that, right? So cakes and sweets and sabjis, all vegetarian though. So that's Srila Prabhupada, meditating, looking at Rupa Goswami's Samadhi. For those of you who've been to Radha Damodar Mandir, so that's his room in Radha Damodar temple, is looking right at Rupa Goswami's Samadhi, which is in the other side of his window. Whatever you offer, again, we talked about being neutral or following the injunction, right? So it can be non-scriptural offering, right? We are congratulating somebody who got a promotion. When one of our colleagues got a promotion, let's be very happy, genuinely happy. We offer our congratulations, appreciation, encouragement, intelligence. We offer our intelligence and help and time, etc. That can be made from mundane to divine if we think Krishna has been so kind to you, he's able to do this. And we really appreciate, because Krishna has given you the intelligence for you to succeed in this project. Fantastic. So we dovetail everything. Even though we are telling this to some other person, we are knowing the glory of Lord Krishna, how he made that person successful. The guidance that Lord Krishna from the heart as Paramatma, Sarvasya Chaham Riti Sannivishto, how he is given that. So we offer Bhoga to Lord Krishna, obeisances to Lord Krishna. So this is important. So it is said that whatever, for those of you who have done yagyas, and Prabhu in the introduction said that, we like to do a lot of yagyas. So whenever we do yagyas, when we are offering the ingredients into the Agni, so that is also an offering that you offer directly to the tongue of the Lord, because Agni is nothing but tongue of the Lord. 5 times in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says he is Agni. 5 times. Okay, so not once, 5 times. So you're offering it directly into the tongue of God. So that is an offering that you offer directly to Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna also says, when we honor the prasad, it is also prana agnihotra, which means, because Lord Krishna says he's the fire of digestion, right? In Bhagavad Gita 15.14, he's saying he's the fire of digestion. So that is prana agnihotra. So even when you're thinking, even though it's an offered food, when you offer it again, thinking to Lord Krishna, thank you, Krishna, for you allowing me. Many people cannot even eat, they cannot digest. Here is the fire burning so nicely. So that is referred to as prana agni hotra as well. So we can always offer everything that we do to Lord Krishna when we are eating, or when we are offering ingredients, havis, it's called havis, into the agni. So here Srila Prabhupada is taking part in a yajna as well. The penultimate ingredient here is that whatever you give away, right? So the mathematics of charity is given in this. If you would like to take a photograph picture of this screen of this slide, that'll be great. This is from 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, verse 17. So Srila Prabhupada is quoting Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur here. He's saying, this is a significant instruction for all of us. Okay, so don't hold back when it comes to charity. Here's the guarantee that is given. If you give charity to a non-Brahmin, okay, so he does not have any Brahminical qualification, guaranteed the money is returned in the next life in the same proportion. Okay, so very important is when we really need it in the next life. Okay, now you have some extra money, but with a genuine heart, you give it to somebody. When you really need it in the next life, we will get that at the right time. If you give charity to half-educated Brahmin, then you get double the money, double the benefit. If you give this charity to a fully qualified Brahmana, it is said that it's like hundreds and thousands of times it is multiplied and you get it. And again, we don't do anything to get something in the future. That's not what we do. But it's a statement of fact. It's an unintended consequence of doing a good thing. So this will happen. Good things will happen to us. But the significant part is it says if the money is given to a Veda Paraga, that means one who's fully studied the Vedas, then it is returned to that person who gave the charity in unlimited proportions, what is given. And for those of you who are interested, you can read more from Bhagavad-Gita 17th chapter, verse 20 to 22. Lord Krishna talks about charity in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance as well. So in a nutshell, Rupa Goswami is given this formula that Srila Prabhupada has taught us. 50% of what we earn, give it for the propagation of God consciousness. 25% keep it for your family, and 25% for the future. Okay, so in a way, you don't need to count exactly, but if in doubt, give it for Krishna consciousness, right? So that's the message here. So the last point here is whatever you give away. Okay, sorry, this is the fourth point, just to complete that. So what you can give is that you can give charity of books, which is the best of all charity, the knowledge that you're sharing. So you can sponsor some books and you can distribute some books. If Srila Prabhupada did not come to the West, we won't be here talking over Skype on a Sunday evening. So we are so grateful to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and he's given us, this invaluable wealth, which is, the scriptures and prasad, distribution of prasad. If you're unable to distribute it, if you're able to sponsor the prasadam distribution, that's the best that we can do. That's the best form of charity that we can give. And of course, we can write checks or give donation to the temple for for propagation of Krishna consciousness. So the last point here is whatever austerities you perform. Krishna is saying whatever austerities you perform. So in general, austerities means accepting voluntary pains to avoid involuntary punishments. Okay, so in a way, we voluntarily take on, when we are fasting for Ekadasi, when we are fasting for Janmashtami, etc. It's a voluntary pain that we go through. It's a short-term pain for long-term gain. Again, we are not looking for gain, but it's something that purifies us. So we are voluntarily going through, nobody's forcing us. We voluntarily go through this little discomfort. So, and definitely as a byproduct, involuntary pains will not be coming upon us. So the word austerity and penance are interchangeably used. So I try to spend a lot of time to delineate these three terms. What is austerity? What is penance? What is yajna or sacrifice, right? So it's important. So austerity means you can think in terms of preventive action, which means that you don't want something to impact you negatively later on. Okay, so in material standpoint, Hiranyakashipu went through a lot of austerity in Mantrachala mountain, right? It's not the best, but he went through this austerity. Example of austerity: we do Ekadasi Vrat. Okay, so that is spiritual austerity versus, yeah, in Ekadasi, during Ekadasi, we don't eat. Definitely we don't eat grains, but we don't eat, or we reduce the quantity of what we eat. But somebody is also fasting to lose weight. Both are austerity, but one is material, one is spiritual, right? Spiritual activities, like when we are fasting or going through some of the austerities during Damodar month, etc. So again, voluntary pain of negating sense gratification for eternal happiness. So that's the austerity. And penance is prayashchitta or atonement, right? This is, you can say it is corrective action. The damage is done, but you are doing this to prevent the loss. So, it's like fixing it, right? If you remember, Indra spent 1,000 years inside Manasarovar lake after he had killed Vritrasura. So we also go and take bath in holy rivers. We feed the poor. All that is penance. So you can interchangeably use these terminologies, but basically the content of that is same. Is exactly the same. Accepting voluntary pains. That's what we are doing through austerity and penance. But the significant part of this is yajna. Yajna means sacrifice, which is, one is, many different yajnas are there. One is the fire yajna we talked about. One is chanting the holy name. Now that includes, so yajna or sacrifice includes austerity and penance. So it's 3 in 1. So yajna or sacrifice includes austerity, because you're gaining some spiritual things, spiritual credits. And also it is a penance because you're preventing sinful reactions from taking effect. And it's also sacrifice because you're waking up early, sitting for 1.5 hours to chant the 16 rounds, etc. Okay. So I would like to conclude with this summary. So I think we are on time here. So if you have any questions or suggestions or thoughts, we will hear from you. So just to summarize what we covered today. So Lord Krishna teaches us whatever we do scripturally or neutrally, or if it is neutral, to offer it to him. So there is no qualification or prerequisite. He doesn't say you have to have this, you have to be born in this family. No, anybody. It's open to anybody. When we offer whatever we do to him, there are 2 things. One is we are remembering him, and that's what the scripture says, right? Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyajimam, again and again. And we saw the Padma Puran verse as well. We have to always remember, never forget him. So when we are offering even the neutral things, which we do for 6 days in a week, other than Sunday, when we are driving, when we are helping somebody, my dear Krishna, I'm grateful to you. When we do that, we are automatically remembering Lord Krishna, which is most important. And second is that we are offloading the luggage. Hence, our onward journey becomes lighter and we can reach our destination at the earliest. So that is the second benefit. And whatever Lord Krishna is teaching us in 9.27 is for our benefit. Krishna is giving it not for his benefit. It's for our benefit, because Krishna is self-satisfied. He's Atmaram. And even when we give, he's not looking at the actual ingredient. Oh, what is in that plate? He's looking at our love and the mood and devotion. And it is said, Lord Krishna does not see what you give, but Lord Krishna sees what you hold back. Okay, so if you're a millionaire, if you Krishna says Patram Pushpam, I'm going to give a little leaf or fruit. No, he sees what we hold back, because he's naturally looking at our mood and the love and devotion. So that's what he's looking for. And when we offer whatever we are offering to Lord Krishna, even when we offer, it is for our benefit. And what do we have to lose? Because nothing is ours. Everything what we are offering is Krishna's when we are offering it back to him for our benefit. And the most important point is, devotion is not to be restricted within the 4 walls of the temple or 4 walls of our altar, but is to be engaged at every moment in our life. So we may not be able to do it at every moment, but based on this particular verse and the examples that we covered, we can slowly increase the number of times that we can think of Lord Krishna. When we wake up, thank you, Krishna, I'm alive. So glad to be alive today. I woke up. And when we're able to see, when we're able to hear, thank you. How many people are deaf? How many people are blind? How many people are lame? They can't walk. Their hands, they can't use their hands. And thank you, Krishna. So there is so many ways that we can think of Lord Krishna and be grateful to Lord Krishna, and dovetailed in what we do spiritually. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanande. So with that, I would like to, see if there are any thoughts or comments or suggestions. Guru Prasad Prabhu, are you there?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I kept sitting muted.
There's some echo as well.
Very heavy echo.
You can switch it off.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. I know that. I know the reason what happened.
Okay.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhu. Loud and clear.
Many times.
Okay. Completely.
Again, have the
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One has to disconnect.
The one?
It's better to disconnect one.
Hold on. I think we have.
So I know we covered a lot of material, but because we used this multimedia presentation, there is a very good chance of us remembering much more than what we generally do when we hear the class. So we are able to pack in a little bit more for our better understanding. So we looked at the composite view on how to practically implement the instruction from Bhagavad-Gita.
Leave this. You can skip that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so is there any question, any thoughts or comments? If not, Prabhu, I will hand it over to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
First of all,
Yes.
I'd like to thank you for having accepted to be with us this evening to make the presentation. And it's a wonderful presentation, as you correctly mentioned, using the multimedia so that it's easy for, to grasp the individual points. You brought out very nicely with all references from different quotes from Bhagavad-Gita, Bhagavatam, and other Puranas. So really very nicely presented, Prabhu. So I won't be surprised if there is no question, because I think the way you explained, it's very clear. The only thing is people may want to ask anything not probably covered in this, because you covered it very nicely, is taking the verse 927 and very wonderfully. So,
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
anyone has anything to add, please feel free. We have another 5 more minutes. Or you can ask any other question, perhaps, not necessarily only on the particular point of today's discussion. Prabhu has a lot of experience in giving presentation on other topics as well. So we might make use of that opportunity as well when he's here with us.
Hare Krishna. This is Mandala Ramdas.
Yes, Prabhu.
Can
Hare
you hear me?
Krishna. Yes.
I just really like those 5 R's. Just kind of a reflection. I was wondering if you could repeat those for us, just to bring them back to our
Yeah, so
attention.
instead of repeating, why don't I just show you that again? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. Are you able to see that? Or not yet?
Yes, Prabhu, you can see your screen.
Yep,
Okay.
I took a screenshot of it. Yeah,
Okay.
that's so nice. Relevance, recall codes,
Repetition, review, and reflect. So that's typically what we covered today as well, especially the reflection, right? With the practical applications on how we can practically apply this verse in our day-to-day life, right? So we are reflecting upon how we can make use of this. And we reviewed the contents in many different ways and angles, from material standpoint, from spiritual standpoint as well. And we repeated many parts of this information, whether you may have realized that we repeated many of these things again and again. And of course, the recall quote for today is 9.27, which is the verse that we read today. And all of you are still here for the last 1 hour because it is relevant to each one of us. So this is one of the most practically applicable verse. So if we understand from the words of our acharyas as well, it's so easy to implement. But of course, anything that we have in Bhagavad-Gita does not come naturally to us, right? So it is there in Bhagavad-Gita in that 48 minutes. Lord Krishna spoke all this because it's so important for each one of us, and it's not natural. So I keep saying this because Krishna does not say, see with your eyes, eat with your tongue, not the obvious ones, right? It's at least 2-3 layers beneath that, right? So Lord Krishna says, Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmani Gaviyastini, 5.18, right? Krishna says, with the equal vision, look at a Brahmana, a dog, an elephant, dog eater, everybody equally, right? So it's just few layers beneath the surface. So it's not obvious ones. Krishna does not say eat with your tongue. He says, as we read in 3.13, Yajñāshisthasinah santo, right? If you offer it to me and eat it, then your sins are taken away by me. But if you just cook and eat for yourself, you're verily eating sin. So again, very simple and practical verse that we can implement in our life, because we are all doing something. Krishna says, offer it to me. Anything that is neutral or scripturally complying.
Yeah, that's nice, and definitely this class is relevant to everyone, whether old or new devotees, just to have that reminder of any activities that we do. We kind of engage in Krishna service. I have an example from today. I was grocery shopping, and I'm chanting my japa, and an Indian-bodied Mataji just said, "Oh, are you a follower of Krishna?" And I said, "Yes, we have an ISKCON temple here." And we ended up just getting in a long conversation. She said her mother just passed away about 10 days ago. And I guess just in any of our activities, if we add Krishna, we'll see the result of that. And Krishna will reciprocate through other people or his different energies.
Yeah, wonderful point, Prabhu. So those are the other consequences of offering whatever we do to Lord Krishna. So when you're going to buy groceries, you are chanting and you are thinking of Lord Krishna, and that made this other devotee get in touch with you, and there was a little bit of solace for her. Mother passed away. She was able to share that with you, and who knows, she may be showing up in Ottawa temple pretty soon, and that could be a new beginning for her and her family. Thank you for sharing that, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So if there are any more suggestions or questions or comments, please let us know. I think there is anything in the chat.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Narayana Kavacha.
Yes.
6.8.16.
Yes.
When we are reading only Srimad Bhagavad-Gita and the Bhagavatam, how we can connect Narayana Kavacha along with us?
Actually, Narayana Kavacha is in Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is given to us in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is a beautiful, beautiful set of 23 verses that is there in the 6th canto. This is given by Vishwarup, the 3-headed temporary spiritual master of the Devatas, because Indra, the king of the demigods, actually there was a problem with Brihaspati. Therefore, Brihaspati left, and Lord Vishnu himself said to the Devatas headed by Indra, you take this Vishwarup as your guru. So Vishwarup is giving this fascinating Narayana Kavacha verse to the Devatas. And eventually, because of that, and because of the bones of Dadichi, who had actually strengthened his body. In India, we use this calcium sandos. Have you heard that? For some of the devotees who are from India,
Yes,
that
yes,
for
yes,
bones, they say, if you eat calcium sandos, your bones will be very strong. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 8th chapter, we read how this Dadichi made his bones so powerful like diamond, it is said, because of chanting this Narayana Kavacha. It's there for all of us. 88 different personalities are being worshipped through this Narayana Kavacha, and it's so relevant. It says, my dear Lord Ramachandra, please protect me when I go to foreign land, because he went to Sri Lanka outside of India, right? So my dear Kurma, when I'm in the water, please protect me. So beautiful prayer, set of prayers for our benefit. 88 different personalities are being worshipped for our protection. So very relevant. This Narayana Kavacha is there for us, and it's right there in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's not in any other scripture, but in Srimad Bhagavatam. Does that answer your question, Prabhu? Any other question relevant to Narayana Kavacha?
Narayana Kavacha, I didn't remember so far read it.
Yeah.
Bhagavatam 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, so it is in the 6th canto, 8th chapter. So from verse 12 or 13, you will have Narayana Kavacha. So before that, there is also Anganyasa and Karanyasa, how we have to place Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya and different parts of our fingers, Om Namo Vishnave in different parts of our body, Anganyasa and Karanyasa, all that we need to do, because it's like when you take a bike and you go for a race, you have to wear your helmet for protection, you have to wear arm guard, knee guard, etc., so that when we fall down, nothing happens. So you have to protect yourself with this Anganyasa and Karanyasa before we chant the Narayana Kavacha. Very much in Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 8th chapter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay, Prabhu. So if any one last call, if there are any thoughts, or a very good question about Narayana Kavacha. So Kavacha means it's a shield, and we have Narsimha Kavacha. We did a yagya in the Toronto temple on Narsimha Chaturdasi. Bhakti Marg Swami was there. I was there. Few of us did this Narsimha Kavacha. So, there are many Kavachas, Narsimha Kavacha, Narayana Kavacha. So it's all there for our protection. Okay, Prabhu. So if there's no other question, so we will end it here. So Prabhu, Guru Prasad Prabhu, any last thoughts, comments?
Prabhu, I think you, as I said, you have a very nice presentation. So we are very happy to get all these details. Hopefully that we'll try to remember all these R's, when we do our reading and our devotional activity. So they are very handy to remember this in different R's, in practical way.
I was hesitating whether I need to put this or not, because we put this one slide in all our Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. We do have that once a month for the last 5 years we've been having. It's a 2.5 hours class that we have here in Scarborough Temple. And I was hesitating whether should I put that or not, but I thought it's useful not just in Krishna consciousness, but also outside of Krishna consciousness. These 5 R's are very critical. I'm happy that, some of the devotees found it useful. Hare Krishna.
Right, it's like what should I say, for study guide. Very often we use certain simple tips for study guide. So this is kind of a tips for us to, as you said, it can be used in any kind of context, and definitely so in our spiritual life. So wonderful. Thanks again for being with us.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for this glorious opportunity.
Appreciate your effort to join us, and then everything went off smoothly.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. We'll be in touch.
Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Bol. Hare Krishna devotees. So we'll have a short kirtan for 5 to 10 minutes. You can have darshan of the deities and till we conclude. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Rishi Gaurnitai ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupada Prabhu Radhikacharya Ashtoka Sadasi Srila Avesara Navadanda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, ISKCON Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Nityalila Vishnupada Prabhu Radhikacharya Ashtoka Sadasi Srila Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Ganadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki. Sri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Krishna Giri Govardhan ki. Navadip Mayapur Dham ki. Puri Dwarka Dham ki. Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki. Ganga Maya Yamuna Maya ki. Saint Tulsi Bhakti Dev ki. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki. Nitai Gaur Premavananda. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories Srila Prabhupada. All glories His Holiness Bhakti Chaur Maharaj.